Good morning, Tallahassee. It's time to wake up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hajavandi and Corey Clark.
Welcome back. Welcome in. Wake Up War Chant, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Maslan, he's Corey. The show's brought to you by For the Table Hospitality. Thursday edition. You know what that means, Corey. It's the Renegade Express. Let's get after it today. You ready for it, man?
I cannot wait. Maybe my most anticipated Renegade Express to date.
All right. You ready to read the questions, or are you deferring that back to me?
Oh, no. You're doing it.
Okay.
Doing it.
All right. Before we get to that, if you could leave a 5-star review on iTunes, if you wouldn't mind, that'd be kind of cool. If not, it's all right. I'm not going to get mad at you, just asking, just begging for charity. You know how that works around these parts. Corey,
I don't feel like it's charity, though. I think we are a 5-star show. So just reflect that in your ranking, people.
Right? Yeah, I mean, you guys basically have like an AP top 25 ballot every single day, though, not just the football season. I mean, it's like a Heisman vote. I mean, you can let your voice be heard, just use it responsibly.
Right. Yeah. And use it, with use your brain.
Yeah.
I mean, folks, there ain't many shows in the country better than this one that are dedicated, mainly to one specific university sports teams. I'd say daily-wise, this has to be the best in the country, doesn't it? It falls into that.
If you're talking weekly shows that focus on college athletics that air in the 6 a.m. block in the southeastern United States and predominantly mainly in Florida, we're up there. I mean, I think we're there. We're there. We got the crown.
We're daily, buddy. We're not weekly.
Did I say weekly? Weekday, man.
You said weekly. You
Sorry.
meant daily. So,
right.
We have to be top 10, top 5 for sure.
Yeah. If we didn't get to it previously before we went on our little holiday hiatus, but it made its way onto warchant.com, the hot topics, and it was the record predictions with Jeff Cameron, who you can hear every 3 to 6 p.m. a weekday here on 97.9 ESPN Radio, as well as managing editor of warchant.com, Irish O'Fell, and our favorite columnist, Corey Clark. Kind of just shooting the breeze, chewing the fat, being dudes in a man cave, talking about the Knowles and predicting the record. So, Corey, you're 10 wins, I think, right? You're the guy that picked 10. You're the brave one, the smart one, the bold one.
I mean, I guess. It's July now. We recorded it in June. We're just doing what we do, folks. Who could know?
Stop.
I'm sure I predicted 10 wins last year, too, if that means anything.
Why are you getting away from your prediction? Why you don't like predictions at all? Like, do you just not like the way that people hold it over your head?
So much changes. I don't mind predictions like the week of a game, like what you think is going to happen. Like, some people might think 2013 Maryland might be a problem for Florida State. I don't mind like the few days leading up to that, but there's so much unknown in June about trying to predict what's going to happen in November. Notre Dame might be god-awful. We don't know. They might have, 12 players injured. It might snow. Or Florida State might be not any good. It's hard to know in June. So predicting – it's always funny, like when the NFL schedule comes out and all my buddies try – and you see it on ESPN and the NFL Network. They just try to go point by point. Who's got a tough schedule? Who's got a – well, man, you don't know. You don't know what a tough schedule is in the NFL because every year somebody comes out of nowhere to be really good that you would have never predicted to be good. Like, I don't know, like the Saints last year or the the Saints were supposed to be terrible. They ended up being pretty good. We didn't know that in June. We don't know if Notre Dame's going to be any good or what Boston College will be or Florida even for that matter. Although if history isn't an indication, Florida will not be very good.
What's your bumper sticker sort of rationale for going with the 10 wins? Like, condense it, distill it for me.
Okay, so I don't know how I haven't watched the video yet, Aslan, and I don't quite remember what I said. What I would articulate is that I think Florida State is going to have a bigger margin for error because I think they're going to blow out some teams. Not every game is going to come down to the final 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. There will probably be, in my opinion, there will be 4 or 5 games that come down to the final 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. All the other ones, Florida State, because of the tempo, because of the talent, because of the new system, I think they will win comfortably. So out of those 4 or 5 games that come down to the final 5 minutes, I figure they win 3 and lose 2.
So what, Jimbo wasn't winning games comfortably anymore? It was just either winning them.
No, exactly right. I mean, look at the wins last year. Every game, literally every game since 2013 that they won, it seemed like it was a white knuckler. At least 80 or 90% of them seemed like white knucklers. I don't think you're going to have Duke and Wake Forest throwing passes into the end zone on the last play of the game to try to tie or win games this season.
All right, fair enough. All right, let's get to the people.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. It makes plenty of sense. I'm with you, man. You got to win 10 games. If this team is as talented as everybody thinks it is, and that guy that was here was such a waste of space last year, then surely 10 wins is attainable and should be the.
It's definitely attainable. I don't know. We'll see if it happens, but it's definitely attainable.
It should be the floor. 10 wins should be the floor.
Losing some close games, they're going to win some close games. I just think they'll have more blowouts than we're used to.
All right, let's read the questions first off. Let's go to our paying subscribers. Not that the folks who call in are not paying subscribers. They are as well sometimes. But let's just go ahead to the Tribal Council first, and let's begin our sojourn. Shall we, Corey? You ready? Ready to Renegade Express?
I'm ready. I'm locked in and loaded.
I was trying to neigh like a horse. I don't know if that worked. All right.
No, I didn't know what was going on.
Bimini Bound. Bimini Bound. Sorry, I think Bimini. Bimini Bound asks. He's got a large fish in his profile. If he did not have a lady friend or guy friend, go on Tinder with that photo, man. Ladies love dudes holding big fish. It's crazy. Anyhow, his question. Between our rivals, Miami and UF, who has put together the better coaching staff? Which do you think is going to be the bigger threat recruiting and on the field? Great show. I hope you did not blow yourselves up on the 4th. Nope. Jinx it.
We did not. I think Miami is going to be a tougher deal on the recruiting trail. We've talked about this on headlines too. Like I just don't. It's hard for me to fathom if Willie Taggart and Dan Mullen both really want the same kid and pull out all the stops and go as hard as they can at recruiting a kid. It's just hard for me to fathom more than 15 or 20% of those kids signing with Florida. I think Florida State is going to win the vast majority of those battles. Miami, to me, is a different story because Miami is in Miami. And if Mark Richt can put a fence around that city and keep most of the really good players in, that could be an issue.
What about a wall?
I think Willie will come there and get some.
Should he build a wall?
But not all of them.
What about if he wants to build a wall? A great wall.
And make a
big wall.
Yeah. Who would pay for it? But
UCF.
But with the recruit. Yeah, sure. With the recruiting, I just think Miami is in such a fertile ground that as long as they have a competent head coach and a competent staff, which they do, they'll be able to get really good players. And it was easy, in my opinion, for Jimbo Fisher to go into Miami back in 2010 and 2011 because look who was coaching there up to 2014, 15. Right. He kind of got anybody he wanted in Miami.
Well,
it's not the case anymore because I think Mark Richt, as we talked about on our last show, has always been a good recruiter. And he's convincing, it seems like he's convincing a number of those Miami kids to stay home.
You've talked about on headlines, though, you've been very bearish. I mean, you haven't been high on Miami at all. I mean, Ira and Jeff have always said that they lie in wake to a certain extent, and you've always kind of scoffed at that notion, like, Miami's never coming back. The U ain't coming back. But are the conditions there?
No, I don't. No, they won't come back. It's two different. It's two different opinions, I guess, or two different ideas. I think for Florida State, Miami will be the tougher recruiting battle because it won't be easy to just wrestle kids away from Miami if Miami wants them as long as Richt is there. But that's not me saying that Miami will ever be anything close to what they were in the 80s or 90s, and I don't think that. They can get players, they'll have players, but I also think they're going to lose they can't get all of them.
Yeah.
And I do think that the facilities and the stadium issue are bigger now than they've ever been because look at what everybody else is doing. You think we talk about Florida State getting left behind. Florida State still has a stadium on campus. Miami, it's just not a college experience. To me anyway, it's not a college football experience. So I think, if Alabama comes in and really wants 10 Miami kids, they're going to get a few. Same with Florida State. And so I don't know how good – I just don't think Miami can ever get back to that dominant program again.
Yeah. I
didn't articulate that well at all. I guess my point is in the 80s when they built it, when Schnellenberger built it in the 80s and Jimmy Johnson and Dennis Erickson kept it going, the programs they were competing with on the recruiting trail weren't like this. The facilities weren't like this. Doak Campbell Stadium didn't look like this in the 80s. And Alabama didn't have a chocolate fountain and a barber shop in their football facility in the 80s. They were behind. Miami was behind, but it wasn't worlds behind. Now I think it's worlds behind in facilities and stadium experience and college atmosphere experience.
Okay. I think.
Sorry, that was a long answer.
Is it my turn yet?
No.
I think Florida actually has put together a better coaching staff. I don't know how the recruiting is going to work out. I sort of defer to your opinion. I think you're on the right track in terms of obviously the geographical advantage that Mark Richt has down in Miami compared to Dan Mullen. But you want to look at coach for coach. I'll take Todd Grantham over Manny Diaz any day. I mean, Todd Grantham's got NFL, bloodlines. He's been paid to coach on Sundays. Manny Diaz has not. Sal Sunseri scares me as a recruiter and as a defensive line coach. I think that's a really good hire. There's nobody else really on the Miami staff that I really sort of fear or would ever want to poach away from Mark Richt. So I think Miami is behind Florida when it comes to recruiting staff, but ultimately, I don't know. I mean, I think maybe Mark Richt's a little more persuasive, maybe a little bit of a better, just a person overall than Dan Mullen when it comes to recruiting guys. So I think Miami will continue to be a bigger threat recruiting than Florida's. But I think Florida's got a good staff. I respect them. They got some guys there. They got some dudes.
Yeah, as long as they can bring the players in. But, yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Dan Mullen's a good coach, man. What he did at Mississippi State is really impressive.
Did you see?
He can coach. I don't know that he can beat Willie Taggart out for a lot of recruits.
Somebody broke it down really starkly on the tribal council, and I was almost going to come and try to be the voice of reason because I'd lived in Mississippi for 4 years. But he broke it down. I mean, Dan Mullen is like an absurdly 43-5 or something against non-Power 5 schools, and then everybody if you include the non-Power 5 and the bottom 6 schools in the SEC, he's got an obscene winning percentage. But when it comes to Alabama, Auburn, LSU, the teams that you have to beat to win the SEC West, he's just dreadful. I mean, he never even led in a game against Alabama until last season, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know. I saw that. I'm like, dang, because I saw it with my own two eyes. I'm like, they play hard. They play well. They've put a lot of fear into a lot of good teams. They didn't win all the time, but they still, as you talk about so many times, they've given themselves so many opportunities to win games, but they never really came away with any sort of huge signature wins. But, yeah, he coaches them up. He's going to be a pain in the neck for a few years at least until maybe Willie just totally puts a dagger in him. But he's going to be a pain. He's going to hype up this rivalry, and he's going to be a miserable person to deal with.
But he's not doing well. They're not doing great right now on the recruiting trail, are they? It doesn't seem like he's made the kind of splash that Taggart made, or in fact that Rick made his first year.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. It's not a good start for them, but it's awesome. I appreciate it. I like it. Keep it up, Dan. All right, let's step aside for our first break of the day. We only got one question down. We got a whole bunch more to get to. We'll try to figure out a way to get it done. That's what we do. He's Corey Maslon. It's 97.9 ESPN Radio. Wake Up War Chant.
You're locked in to Wake Up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Wake up! 97.9 ESPN Radio. It's Wake Up War Chant. I'm Aslan. Corey Clark also here. It's the program that everybody loves, or most people love. Again, Wake Up War Chant. Brought to you by For the Table Hospitality. Corey, executive decision was made during our break. We're going to go ahead and maybe just go a little bit heavy today, and I'm going to give you the day off on Friday, man. It's just, let's just celebrate the greatness that is America since we came back in. Let's just take another day off.
Okay, that sounds good to me, buddy. There
we go. Let's get back to it then. The Tribal Council, the Renegade Express. Get your questions in for next week if you want. 850-792-5730. We'll get to the calls as soon as we're done with the questions online. Well, with that said, back to the boards. FSU Guy 1989. Of the following games, rank them in order of confidence that Florida State will win. Miami, Florida, Clemson, Tech, NC State, Louisville. Keep up the great work, fellas. P.S. New Twitter handle for you, Alsan, at Suave Persian. He spelled my name wrong. He spelled Aslan Alsan.
All right. Well, it's not a terrible Twitter handle, is it?
No. Suave
You're smooth.
Persian. Suave Persian. But it's probably not good for business purposes. All right, let's go right to it, Corey. He gave us 6 games. 6 games. Miami, Florida, Clemson, Tech, NC State, Louisville. Confidence that Florida State will win. I want to say, golly, I don't know. Louisville and NC State are both on the road. I guess I'll say Louisville. That's not a really good way to start this off, right? I think that's my most confident. I guess I say Louisville, then State, Or no, I'll put Tech. I got Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech, my most confident. Then Louisville. Then NC State. Then Florida, Miami, Clemson.
Yeah, mine would be Florida number 1.
Ooh, look at you.
Virginia Tech number 2. Then Louisville. Then NC State. Then Miami, and then Clemson.
Okay. All right.
So we're right on we agree on the final 2.
All right. Very nice.
At Miami and Clemson are going to be tough. Not there, but they're certainly doable. Both of them. I mean, heck, they almost beat both of them last year.
Yeah, they did, but they didn't. BC Knoll 16. Guys, fellas, gentlemen, wake up. I love you too, Corey. That's what he says. It's right there.
Oh, nice. I'm glad somebody says it, returns it, because Lord knows you won't, and Ira never does. Ira hangs up in the middle of me saying it.
Yeah. 5 questions from BC Knoll 16. This is what happens when you pay, folks. We'll mock you if you do a minute 30 voicemail, but if you leave us 17 questions in a post, we got to read it. I mean, it's part of what happens when you're a subscriber to warchant.com. All right, let's get right to it. How many plays do you expect Florida State to run per game this season? Do you expect the numbers to gradually go up as they become more comfortable running at that pace, or do you think it'll be full go from the beginning, Corey?
I think it'll be full go from the beginning. I imagine they will average 81 plays a game.
Oh, I'm just totally going to make this boring and agree with that. I mean, this isn't. They're not dipping their toe in the water on this, folks. I don't think. I mean, they're going. They're all in. This is what's going to happen. This is how it is. But then
also remember, it's a little harder on the road because it's harder to hear. It's harder to get it set up on the road. Those offenses don't kind of run it quite the same efficiency on the road. But at home, there'll be some games I think they'll run well over 90. Well, not well over, but they'll run over 90 plays.
How many plays did John James get off usually? Like 60-ish?
66, 65, something like that.
Man, that sounds crazy. 80.
So that's 16 extra plays a game.
Yeah.
And if you do the math, if you're averaging 5-6 yards a play per the season, well, that's an extra 100 yards and probably maybe an extra 8 to 10 points.
Look at that. He's our Moneyball guy. Sabermetrics. He's our analytics guy, Corey Clark. Number 2, question. Do you think the offense will look the same with Francois or James Blackman at quarterback, or will they use Francois' running ability more than James's?
I think it would look about the same. I think Francois is a better runner, but Francois isn't Mariota. He's not that great a runner, and I don't think it will be that big a part of their offense if he's the guy to have him run a lot.
But isn't it? I mean, I kind of agree with that, but can we really say that we don't? Isn't it different scrambling and running for your life in Jimbo's offense than it is designed runs, tempo, the way Willie wants to do it? And I think we can all agree that inside like a phone booth, we like the quickness and the shiftness, but just James is tall and lanky. I mean, Blackman's tall and lanky. He is what he is. I feel like Francois got a little more elusiveness, so if he were to win the starting job, that maybe gives Willie and Walt a little bit more flexibility of what they want to call.
I think so. I just think when it comes to these two guys, neither one of these guys, in my opinion, are – and I guess I'm talking more about Francois because nobody thinks of it of Blackman. They're not like gifted runners. They're pretty good. Francois is a pretty good runner. He's not a guy that you think of making a lot of guys miss in the open field. So any yards that a quarterback run will get, in my opinion, will be more due to scheme. Like the whole defense goes with Cam Akers in 12, shockingly, because it never happened under Jimbo's watch. The quarterback will actually keep the ball on the read play and go around the corner, and nobody's even over there. And he gets 15, 18 yards before he gets tackled or run out of bounds. I think that's where the yards will come from, is from the scheme. More, and James Blackman can do that. If nobody's on that side of the field, James Blackman can run pretty well too. I don't think it's going to be like, let's get Francois and get him one-on-one with the linebacker and make him miss. I don't think that's kind of what they want to do with the quarterback in the running game.
97.9 ESPN Radio, it's Wake Up War Chant. Corey Clark, what's the craziest story you have on seeing or being a crazy parent of a baseball player or another sport? I know it can get crazy. Do you go balls with a Z out when watching Brady?
Not at all. And we were lucky this year. He played 6 tournaments, and the end was just interminable on this All-Star team. But it was a good set of parents. There was a game after one of the games that Brady's team lost. The umpire ended up challenging our coach to meet him in the parking lot.
Yeah.
So because the coach was saying, so the umpire had a terrible. I will say this: it's 10-year-old baseball, 9-year-old baseball. It's fine. The umpire had a terrible zone. The coach didn't curse at him, didn't scream at him, but let him know that his zone wasn't good, and it wasn't. It was really bad. And then after the game, all the teams were meeting at midfield at the pitcher's mound to shake hands and whatever, have a prayer, whatever they were doing. And the umpire wouldn't leave it alone. He kept walking back to the huddle to talk to the coach, and then ended up saying, "Meet me in the parking lot."
Nice.
So that was cool. That was fun. Other than that, nothing crazy. Just some yells here and there. Nothing outlandish yet. But I know it's coming because just parents lose their minds, and moms really get upset.
Woo. There's nobody that loves their daughters more than softball fathers, and there's no one who loves their sons more than, I think, like soccer moms. But baseball moms are up there too.
For sure.
They're wily.
Absolutely.
They're a wily bunch. Number 4, S-Town was awesome. You can kiss it, Aslan. And final question.
There we go.
And final question from BC Knowles. This segment brought to you by BC Knowles. We're going to limit you guys to 3 questions now. If you could have invented a dance move, what would it be, Corey? Right now, my favorite, he says, is the backpack boy dance, where you swing your arms side to side and alternate them going behind your back and in front of you. Boy, bye. That's how he signs off.
I thought that was called something. Brady calls it something else. Brady does that too. It's like a dance in Fortnite, maybe.
I think so.
But no, I would say, man, if I was I don't know if it even has a name, but the move where you kind of thrust your hips and do the finger guns.
Okay.
On the hips at the same time, like you're shooting at people,
right.
Like you're shooting down the dancers on the dance floor.
Right.
Maybe not the best imagery to use in 2018, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
John Travolta did it in Staying Alive or
Okay.
Saturday Night Fever. That's a good dance. That's a sweet move.
I would have liked to have invented the Macarena. I think that'd been kind of cool.
I mean, yikes.
I
wrote a story once. There was an FSU golfer. Her first name was Macarena.
I'm sure you picked that low-hanging fruit and went for it, didn't you?
Yeah, and I had a really funny lead to my story, and the editor changed it, which was pretty disappointing at the time. But it was only my second or third year at the Democrats. So I didn't have the pull that I did there at the end.
It wasn't Schofel, was it? 5-star didn't hamper you. Did
Oh,
it?
are you kidding? No, I wouldn't let Schofel touch my words. Yeah. No, it was it was somebody else. It just it was still a fine story. It didn't have quite the punch, the lead that I wanted to. But apparently every time she'd make a birdie, she would to tell her teammates that she had just made a birdie because they were all over the course at a different tee. She would do the Macarena.
Nice, awesome.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Tuck 052. Wake up, fellas. Marilyn Knoll here, and a family of Virginia Tech fans. My sister was a cheerleader. Wanted to add my 2 cents on Virginia Tech fans hating us. A family friend that graduated from Tech went to the 99 national championship game. He saw Winky on Bourbon Street the night before the game, past curfew, and wished him good luck. Winky laughed at him and told him, "You guys ain't bleep." He wanted to kill Winky. Also, I think Janikowski missed curfew, and the media asked Bowden if he was going to be punished, but I think Bowden said he abides by international rules. I think he made him run stadium steps for punishment. I know this still burns some Tech fans' rear ends. Keep up the good work. There you go.
I mean, honestly, though, why would anyone care? Why would Virginia Tech fans care about Bobby Bowden's punishment of a place kicker? It's not like it was an NCAA mandated curfew. Florida State could have just said, "Hey, we're not having curfew," or not let anyone know that he missed it. Yeah. Like, what? Why would they be mad about that? Just be mad that you couldn't cover Peter Warwick.
It happens. Jerk Life 7. This is his first post, or her first post. They joined back in January 25th of 2015. Welcome to the fam. Good morning, gentlemen.
This is the first post they've ever made?
First post, Jerk Life 7.
Let's go, Jerk Life.
Good morning, gentlemen. My name is Omari, listening on iTunes from Savannah, Georgia, originally from Clearwater, Florida. I've been listening to the show for a while now, and I really enjoy it. Excuse the poor grammar and spelling. I'll do my best. It's all good, Omari. So far, so good. My question for you is, if you had to pick a guy or two on the football team that nobody is talking about, but will or could have a breakout season, who would it be? I say George Campbell, but he's like a brother to me, so that doesn't count. LOL. Keep up the good work, guys. The show gets me through, gets me all my Florida State football news while I'm deployed or away from home. Thank you. Go Knowles. P.S. You're doing Pine County proud, bro. Keep it up, Aslan. See, I never knew if we call it Pinellas County or Pinellas. I've always called it Pinellas, but he said Pine County, so maybe I should start calling it Pinellas. But who's your breakout guy? I want to root for George Campbell. He went to my high school, man. I want to see George Campbell break out because a kid who's 6'5" and can run like a sub 4.6 is exciting to the senses. I want to see him break out.
Yeah, it just, if history's taught us anything, it's going to be a hard time for him to stay healthy. And they got these new guys coming in that they really like. And, George Campbell ain't Willie's guy. So these guys are. So we'll see. He won't feel like he owes George Campbell anything. And if he doesn't make an impact in August and show that he's ready to play, he will get left behind. That's just the nature of college sports. I would say I'd like to see him do well too, though. I love when guys that have rough starts to their careers can end on a good note. Maybe does Trey McKitty count?
Why not? Why? Yeah, of course. Yeah, man.
Well, I don't know if people talk about him or not. I don't know where he is in Florida State fans' mindsets. But that guy to me has a chance to be really good. He looks like a freakish kind of guy. It could be a really big time player for them in the passing game.
Yeah, I don't know. Tight end just doesn't wet the whistle for me. I know where you're coming from. I'll say like DJ Matthews, because if like DJ Matthews breaks out,
it's going to expect something from him.
Yeah, but he still needs to break out, though.
I just thought the question was for people that aren't thinking about, like people off the radar. And that's why I was thinking Trey McKitty. I didn't.
Yeah, you just say people that nobody's talking about. All right, people. I mean, this year up, sure. Then I'll guess that's boring. I went to your tight end. Let me think here.
Yeah, you can't do that. You just poo-pooed my tight end comment, and then you just choose the other one.
Who's nobody talking about? I mean, defensively, everybody that I like on defense, everybody's talking about. Who's like the untalked about, unheralded guy? I don't know, man. I really don't have anybody for you. I don't. Sorry, Jerk Life.
Ricky Aguayo.
Whatever, man.
Okay, fair enough.
Is there Logan? Is the guy still he's still our punter, right?
Yeah, Logan Tyler. He's still around. Still left-footed.
Cool. That's always a pretty cool thing. Let's see if let me go to the clock.
Maybe he'll spend the next 2 years punting right-footed.
That wouldn't be a bad idea. All right, man, I've got a whole bunch to get to. We're going to go overtime, though, since we're going to take Friday off. So we'll keep it going. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. It's 97.9 ESPN Radio. It's Wake Up War Chant.
Darn pop-ups and video ads.
Are you wasting your time again on clickbait FSU updates that are bloated down with ads?
Yeah. And after crashing my computer, the information isn't even up to date. You're on warchant.com. What's really going on with the Seminoles?
For the real scoop, you'll need to get your own War Chant subscription.
What's it cost?
Free. There's a 30-day trial offer right now.
You know I like free. Sign me up.
Use the promo code WARCHANT30. That's WARCHANT30. Nobody has more accurate and timely information on the Noles than WARCHANT.com.
WARCHANT.com, your ultimate Seminole source.
Been inside, I'm a motor running. Feeling overheated 'cause my life keeps coming. My heart has been troubled by the street of love.
Sit on down. Welcome back. Relax. Take a load off. It's Wake Up War Chant, 97.9 ESPN Radio. I'm Aslan. Corey's here. It's the Renegade Express. Since it's Thursday, we're getting to all your questions, and we pick it right back up. MFA 1169 on the Tribal Council, warchant.com. Use that code, warchant30, for your free 30-day trial. What up? Wake up. Keep grinding through the summer, fellas. I have a few observations and questions for y'all. Oh, man. He's got one, and he's got it broken down into subcategories within one. So there's like 5 more questions. Golly, you guys are so curious.
I feel like you let one guy ask 5 questions. I feel like you just kind of set the precedent.
And you ain't lying. I've rewatched the full version of the first 5 games from last season. I've noticed a few things. Jacques was running.
Why would anyone do that to themselves?
It's called being a fan, Corey. Look it up.
Oh, man. What a nightmare.
Torture. Jacques was running hard, many yards after contact, making tough catches. He's going to be better than people believe in his final year. Second part of that question. Around Game 4, Minshew and Dickerson's ankles were so heavily taped, I see why there was so much penetration up the middle. Hopefully Bavion can be healthy to relieve one of them when the injuries are more serious. Third part of the question. Kelly looked great versus Bama. I'm guessing he means Derek Kelly. Whenever a little tussle broke out in those games, Kelly was the only O-lineman to mix it up with the opposing players, protecting his guys. Eberle, on occasion, did it too. More war daddy attitudes needed on the O-line. Are there 5 O-line with that attitude on this team?
Are we done?
No, he's got 2 more questions. I figure that's the first question, so we'll just go ahead and tackle that before we read the other ones.
Well, you go for it, buddy. You tackle that
Are
one.
there 5 guys with that attitude? I think Eberle's got a little punk in him, and I mean that like in a endearing way. And you just said
Good
Derek,
way, like a little MFer in him.
Yeah,
you want that out of your O-lineman.
And you just said Derek Kelly does, MFA 1169. We all know my boy, L. Dix has got it going. And then I think Cole Minshew is probably a pretty nasty son of a gun in the trenches, too. He's just a big dude, man. But I don't know, who's the other tackle? I don't know anything about Jawan Williams. I'm not going to try to make any sort of judgment based on him going through limited practices before his shoulder got slinged up. There's 4. I think Mike Arnold, he's got a little pup in him. I mean, he wants to be that dog, I think. But right now, 5, I can't say it with any sort of certainty. No, I can't say 5.
No, and it would be nice just to have, whether they have the dog in them or not, it'd be nice to have 5 guys that know how to block together. They just are all on the same page.
Yeah.
They keep guys from, injuring their quarterbacks.
If Randy Moss hadn't been given the boot, does Florida State win another national championship?
Yes, they win 2 more. They win the 95 one and the 96 one.
You guys have mentioned that you do
without a doubt.
Yeah, okay. You guys have mentioned that you do watch the quick versions of the games from last season. Do you ever watch the Jimbo Fisher show of each game? I watch it to gain more insight to what players did or didn't do correctly.
Yeah, I don't remember watching much of it last year, but I have in the past. I would record them, but they come on such a weird time, like Mondays at 4 or whatever it is.
Right.
It's such a weird time, but it is an hour long, and I kind of wish they'd slow it down a little. Well, I guess I don't anymore because Jimbo's not around. I always wish they'd slow it down more and not have Jimbo talking over every play we saw, but actually have Tom Block, pause the tape. Say, all right, take us through this highlight. Take us through – because Jimbo, when he's talking about that stuff, really was fascinating. Yeah. It's just fascinating how his mind works and what's supposed to happen, what didn't happen. But he feels like he has to talk so fast. He talks fast anyway, but the highlights are coming so fast that he has all these – he basically talks like one big ellipses where it's just one thought, then another thought, then another thought, and he would never finish it completely. But you would get some insight from it for sure. I'm sure Tom Block will probably appreciate Willie Taggart's style a little more on those shows as well.
Well, it's really, shocker. I'm going to defend Jimbo Fisher here. It's really not Jimbo's fault. That's whoever produces that show. They decide they're going to.
I didn't mean to. I wasn't blaming Jimbo. Jimbo did what he could. It's just that's how his mind works. That's why I was saying I wish they would have formatted it a different way, where he didn't have to just sprint through every play of the first half in 8 minutes.
Well, it's the thing. Either you're going to talk or Willie's not going to talk, and it's going to be awkward. Like Willie's just going to talk once every 3 plays, and then Tom's going to be like, and yeah, wow, that was a good catch by DJ. Yep. All right, right here.
I think they should change. It's weird that the college coaches shows formats are the exact same that they've been for 30, 40, 50 years. Even though we all, we have so much access to these highlights now, they're on our phones. So it's not necessarily seeing the highlights again as much as wanting to hear the insight of how it happened from the guys that made it happen. So I wish they would kind of maybe tailor it a little more towards that instead of just showing highlights, because we see highlights. Literally, we can see a highlight of the whole game as soon as it's over.
I think it's a loss leader for every school. It's just they get the marketing dollars from IMG or whoever to put on the coaches show, and it's some 23-year-old kid is just tasked with, all right, man, just cut up the highlight. What do you mean? Every single play, kid, put every single play back to back to back to back to back, and we're going to do a TV show about it. So when they start taking –
not that I wanted to critique the way Florida State does it, but the one thing I don't like is that they show way too many clips from their own cameras on the field.
I don't think
they
have
can't
rights.
Really tell what's going on.
I think that has to do with rights and whether or not they have the ability to redistribute their ESPN's highlights and stuff.
Oh, really? Because they show some of them from the TV cut, but not all of them, which was always confused. I wanted to ask you though, real quick: have you ever bought Yellow Wood? And have you ever eaten a Golden Flake potato chip?
No, but Jimmy Rain was a fan of my radio show in Dothan. He's like one of the richest men in Alabama. He's the guy that runs Yellowwood. And I might have had it. Like, I've never purchased a Golden Flake potato chip. I think maybe at SEC Media Days, that's part of the lunch, like the box lunch. There was a bag of it, but I've never purchased a Golden Flake potato chip.
Me either.
And maybe that's why we have losing mentality. Maybe if we ate Golden Flake potato chips like the SEC, we would have winning mentality. All right, final question of the segment, and then we'll come back with one final one for our radio listeners, and then we'll do an overtime for our loyal podcast listeners. Garnett76 asks, of the 3 major college sports, in which one does the head coach have the most influence on the success of the team? He says football, then basketball, then baseball.
Can you read the question again?
Of the 3 major college sports, in which one does the head coach have the most influence on success?
Man, it's hard to differentiate. I mean, it's all about getting players on your team in building a culture, and I think that's important in all three. I don't know, man. I think the baseball during a game, typically, I feel like the baseball manager makes more decisions that impact the game than a normal football coach. I'm not talking about guys like Jimbo and Willie that call plays. They're coordinators, but a normal football coach that doesn't necessarily call plays, they're not doing it, play to play, making play to play decisions all the time. Same with basketball coaches. But baseball coaches, to me, seem like they make more decisions late in games that impact whether a team wins or loses. But I think that's hard to say, man. They're all really, really important, obviously.
I'd say football, then baseball, then basketball. That's what I'm
Basketball, typically, if you have the best players, you're going to win more than you lose.
Yeah.
But isn't that the same in all of them?
Football, you can skim. There's more schematics. I think there's strategies more involved in football. I mean, basketball. I don't know. I don't know.
You know what? I guess I'm thinking more about just game days. Like on a game day, who has the most impact?
Yeah,
but
that's what I'm thinking.
Day to day, like who has the most impact on a Wednesday and a Thursday and installing game plans? Yeah, I get that, man. I guess football. Sure, football.
If an opposing player spits on the Seminole logo at midfield again this year, which one of our players is most likely to administer a pile driver on the offending player? I'm thinking of someone like what Jernigan did to that Miami offensive lineman a few years ago. Keep up the good work, guys.
Well, would you say that none of the guys that were on last year's team would because they didn't? It's
got to be a freshman then. Who's the meanest freshman that we have?
Or maybe Odell, if Odell saw it. Yeah. I think if Odell saw someone spit on the logo, like actually saw it with his own eyes, that would be an interesting situation for the person that did it.
Yeah.
I know Bradley Chubb it was a first-round pick and is a huge dude himself. But, man, Odell, if he'd have seen that happen, that would have been a real situation there, I think.
Yeah, man, Odell will go after your throat if you step on the logo in the locker room, man. Let alone you spit on the one on the field. Woo.
I mean, if he saw that and he's been on that field for 30-something years, given all he's given for that to that logo or whatever logo we're using now, that would have been a. I think things could have gotten heated if he'd have seen that. Remember when the Louisville offensive linemen were just basically taunting the entire Florida State defense during that 2016 game during the timeout? It was just the linemen on the field, and the whole Florida State defense was on the field, and they were just talking smack to all of them and bellying up to all of them. And it was Odell who came out there that got in their faces. None of the players on the field did. It was Odell that almost had to be pushed back.
You're right. I don't know. I think Hamza Nasruddin. I think Hamza would come out and do something crazy. I think he's got like a warrior spirit, savagery in him. I can feel it. I can sense it.
Yeah, he seems to have a little bit of an edge to him when he plays. Yeah. That's probably a good pick.
Enol_2000. Corey said he would not co-host a show called Ballers, but would he co-host one called Cojones?
No, not that one either. Nothing that has to do with that region. Even if it's in a sports term, I couldn't. I don't think I could be a part of that.
Final segment of our week coming up right after this. It's 97.9 ESPN Radio. It's Wake Up War Chant.
You're locked in to Wake Up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Top dollar with the gold fleet collar, dipping in my blue Impala. Top dollar with the gold fleet collar, dipping in my blue Impala.
What's up? I'm Aslan. He's Corey. It's Wake Up War Chants, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Program's brought to you by For the Table Hospitality. Last segment for the folks on the radio side of things. We'll do an overtime segment for the loyal, dedicated podcast listeners. If you don't subscribe to the podcast, folks, subscribe. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. The podcast will be delivered into your phone every single morning. You'll wake up. It's there waiting for you. You can listen to it. You can hit pause. Yeah, it's cool. Podcasts are neat. Let's get to the next question, Corey. Comes from West Duval Knoll. Bucket list question from him, part 3. What NFL stadium venue would you want to attend a game at?
I mean, I guess the answer is Lambeau.
That's what he says.
I'll be honest with you, though. I don't really feel the need to visit any of those stadiums. None of them have a huge appeal to me. And also, everybody is just so drunk. Yeah. That the only reason I'd go is because I'd want to take my son. But then I see all these videos on Twitter or on social media of these huge brawls breaking out in the stands or in the parking lot. That it really is kind of a turnoff. And trust me, I know that I cover Florida State football for a living, and there's 12,000 students at every game, many of them inebriated. But man, those NFL stadiums look like it looks like the Purge.
Bills Mafia, bro.
That would be a good purge, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Just put them all in Ralph Wilson Stadium or whatever that thing's called in Buffalo or the parking lot, and that's your Purge movie.
Oh, Purge Sunday Calling. That'll be the next one in this segment. Yeah, either Packers. I haven't been to Jerry's World, and I think everyone says that Arrowhead in Kansas City is supposed to be really electric. I'd say probably those.
I was there for a Florida State game.
Well, of course you were. What, 2002 against Iowa State, or
that one.
Seneca
that
Wallace.
would probably be pretty cool too. I guess would they be? They seem to be a good fan base.
Did your mom ever go on any of these games with you, or is it just you and your pops?
No, I mean my mom and dad were divorced since I was 3 years old.
Oh,
they had a really good relationship, but no, she would never. I think even when they were married, she wouldn't go to the Florida State games with them. So no, it was usually my dad, me and my dad and my sister, or just me and my dad and my wife at the time. But yeah, no, it was never a mom trip.
All right.
She had no interest in it either.
She's a dying breed. Good woman she is. All right, True Knoll. Here we go. Oh, answer time. So they're asking questions, and they want to hear the answers, but they're actually going to give us an answer, Corey. This is the one you've been waiting for. True Knoll. Wake up.
Okay. All right. Let's do it, True Knoll. Let's hear it.
Y'all are doing a great job fighting through the dog days of July. Keep it up. Corey, the September 11th, 2001 join date on my profile is not my actual join date. I remember talking about the rooster on here 20 years ago when Gene was still going by .com. Not sure how I ended up with that date. Sorry, I don't have a better story for you.
Man, I had all these scenarios in my head, and we've talked about it at length on this show about what could have been going into that decision that day and how would it have happened, and what a bummer, what a letdown that is. I mean, hey, True No, it's fine. It's not your fault. It was just a algorithm error on War Chant, but man, what a story that could have been.
You could have
lied. The beginning of a movie.
Just lie next time, True No. Come on, give us something. We've been looking forward to this for 3 weeks almost, and this is what I got. That's all I got. Sorry. Come on. Do something. Figure out a story.
You had 2 weeks to make up something awesome.
Yeah. All right. He has a question, though. From the beginning of the dynasty through today, who do you think has been the best non-Heisman winning quarterback at Florida State? He says Danny Cannell.
Ooh, that's a good one. Non-Heisman winner.
Yeah. Like Ponder?
I would say for 1 year, my vote for 1 year would be Peter Tom Willis in '89. He was awesome. Okay. But he only got to start for 1 year. But it was a really good year, especially back then. 30 years ago, people weren't throwing for 300 yards a lot, but I think he did it like 6 or 7 times, and he had the Fab Four he was throwing to. Casey Weldon was fun to watch too, but that 1 year, man, Peter Tom Willis was really good.
Yeah, I just showed you how stupid I was. I was going to say Ponder, but I mean, I don't think Ponder had anything that, transcendent.
I mean, in '09, Ponder was really darn good. Yeah, really darn. When he had senior receivers to throw to, he was a really good quarterback until he got hurt. But he did get hurt after his 4th interception and trying to make a tackle on what's his name, the kid from the Tallahassee kid. What the heck was it? DeAndre McDaniel? Does that sound right?
Sure, fine, yeah. I don't remember.
Sure, anyway, but he separated his shoulder on that play. And but yeah, man, he was really good that year. It's just the team was so bad. PT was, he beat Miami that year. Well, the defense really did. He had an okay game, but he beat Auburn that year. They beat Nebraska in the bowl game, and he threw for a gazillion yards. Just a really, really good season. He was so good that you're like, man, maybe he should have been starting the last few years.
All right, man. That's our time for the radio side of things. Thanks for listening. Podcast folks, stand by. We'll be right back. He's Corey Maslan. Thanks for listening.
You're locked in to Wake Up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Welcome back. It's an overtime segment. We're going 5 quarters because it's just what we do now, Corey. We just got to have the gas tank to keep going. Gas pedal pressed down all the time, man. You got maybe 10, 15 minutes left in the tank, probably 20 actually, but I'm just going to undershoot you.
I mean, I feel like I got about 8 minutes left in the tank.
All right, let's try to make it happen.
If you want to drag it out to 20, we can see what that sounds like.
We got a bunch of questions on the call line. Raiders Twins asks us about the difference between booster money and conference money, television money, I guess. That's kind of high-level stuff. I'm going to we're going to actually try to have David Teal from we talked about it in a previous show. He wrote that article about conference revenue disparity. So we're going to try to have him on next week, and maybe we can dive further into that sort of thing, because I'm curious to know about it too, and I'm not well-versed on, how much of, Willie's salary comes from ESPN money and how much of it comes from Seminole Boosters, but we'll try to get down to the bottom of that one for you.
Good. I hope we do. I hope we do.
Wes Duvall, clarifies, I guess, that dance that you talked about, the backpack boy dance, somebody said, that Brady also partakes in. He asked, is that dance called flossing?
There you go.
That's
what
it is?
Brady calls it anyway.
Okay,
it's flossing. That's
okay,
right.
Cool. There we go. Maxwell Gibbs, fan of the program, going back to the written word over calling in, says, wake the bleep up, Clark and Hodges. Name's not Hodges anymore, though, Maxwell. We're trying to figure that out and get it changed. First, I feel your pain, Corey, of no AC. The only con of living in Manhattan is it costs you $3,000 in rent to live in a building with central air conditioning. Second, have either of you watched any of the JBA? For anyone that doesn't know what that league is, LeVar Ball started it. Just watch a few minutes of a game, and my God, this league is garbage. No defense at all, but then again, what do you expect from a self-proclaimed big baller? I didn't even know it existed.
I didn't either, and I don't know. Was it the Just Ballin' Association? What does the JBA stand for?
I don't know. That's a good question.
But no, I haven't watched a second of it. And I will say this, as a proud Southerner, grew up in Atlanta, or near Atlanta, now live in Tallahassee, most of my time anyway. I feel like there's more than just one thing wrong with Manhattan other than just the AC situation. That's all I'm saying there, Max. There's some other thing. The rats. You see, the rats are crazy, man. It's crazy. You're walking down like a really nice street with big hotels on it, and you see rats scurrying in the summer. Oh boy, that was something.
I've only seen a rat once, and it was at the train station or the bus station
in New York.
Yeah.
I saw him there, and also saw him scurrying into a sewer outside of the Plaza Hotel.
Oh, jeez.
Which was really like, oh, man, if they're here. Right. And there were stories in the paper. Now, this was 15 years ago, I should add, but there were stories in the paper about the rat infestation. I'm like, oh, God, we got to get out of here. There's going to be one in my bed. It's going to be like The Godfather. Just a tiny rat head in my bed.
Terrible. All right, let's get to the phone lines. Corey, you ready?
I can't wait. Let's do it.
Let's do it. First one, rock and roll.
Aslan, Corey, how you doing? Wake up. How you guys? Listen, my name is Marlon from Miami. I don't have a question. I have more of a comment. I finally got to see what all you guys talking about with Coach Willie Taggart. I met him here in Miami. He was doing a spring tour down here. And boy, did that guy commanded the room. I was ready to put a second mortgage on a house just to give him anything to build this program back up. A new facility, whatever he needs, man. This guy is the goods, man. Love your show, man. Keep up the good work, man. Wow, Willie Taggart, man. I can't believe that's our coach.
There you go, man. Good. There you go. There's an endorsement.
I feel like, and I haven't done the story yet, I think that's certainly something we can do in July. Just how people react to him, the people that had never met him before when he came to these booster events, what that was like and how refreshing it was. And just also, I mean, you've been around him, Aslan. He does have a presence. He's not loud, but he's cool. And he makes you feel at ease. He looks you in the eye. He talks to you. He asks you about yourself. I mean, he's a different kind of guy than the modern day college football coach.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I've never been starstruck by him though.
But I think that's that's kind of I think that's the appeal.
Yeah,
he because he is a star, but he doesn't seem like unapproachable.
Okay, all right, that's
right?
fair. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Next question.
Sorry, he's not Jimbo, Aslan. Good grief.
Corey, I'm going to love who I want to love, and you have to either support that or just live with it, man.
I know. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Next question.
How you doing, fellas? This is Ranye calling in again from Lawrenceville, Georgia. Had a couple questions for you. Wanted to first ask your thoughts. If the 2013 Florida State team played the 2008 Gators team, who do you think will win in that game? who do you think would be like an MVP if it was a bowl type game? Who do you think would be the MVP of that game? Also, defensive tackle Robert Cooper out of South Gwinnett here in Snellville, Georgia. Do you think he will get some play time this year to see the field, or what kind of production do you think he will get in the rotation at defensive tackle? Thank y'all. Y'all have a good show. Thank y'all for everything you do, and let's get it. Go Noles.
All right, thanks, Ronye. Appreciate that. He's from Lawrenceville. That's your neck of the woods, right, Corey? Gwinnett.
Yeah, man, represent.
County.
404-678-770, all the area codes, represent.
Yeah.
Man, I can, and this is honest, man, I would say it would be hard for me to put that 2013 team up against any team in history and think that they would lose. It was just supremely talented. That's all. And that 2008 Florida, I can tell you this, the 2013 Florida State team was better than the 2008 Ole Miss team. So that to me answers that question.
I don't know. I think Tebow wins. Hate to say it, but I think Tebow wins.
I mean, what are you doing? What are you doing? I mean,
kidding.
You just do this to yourself.
Kidding.
Oh.
Total joke. Florida State, 2013.
You never know with you, man.
No. That's the best college football team I've ever seen. I mean, I was 13 years old when Nebraska was around, but I don't know. I mean, it's hard. Like you said, it's hard to say the 2013 Florida State team, you roll the football out there and they're going to find a way to lose, or you're going to find a way to beat them.
They couldn't have played any worse in that championship game for about 2.5 quarters, and they finished it on like a 28-10 run or whatever it was. And they actually answered when they got challenged, which was cool. And you'd have an advantage at quarterback, you have an advantage at kicker, which I know he kind of became a punchline in the NFL. But Roberto Aguayo was a great college kicker, especially that year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, I just it would be hard, and all the talent on defense. It would be. I just couldn't imagine them losing that game.
And as for Robert Cooper's productivity, I don't know. I mean, we haven't seen a lot of true freshmen make a splash playing on the interior of the defensive line. But I mean, I would imagine opportunities are going to be there. It's not the most deep, plentiful position on the defense, but I don't know. I mean, I would think if these games happen the way that Corey thinks, there's going to be a lot of these blowout games. Maybe he comes and gets some burn there because. I don't know. I mean, he physically, I think, is going to fit the bill. So I don't know if they'd redshirt him, but I wouldn't expect a lot. I know he's a hometown guy, but that's not one of the freshmen I particularly right now and July 5th have my eyes on.
And that's not because he might not end up being a great player, but it is really rare in college football for a freshman interior lineman to make an impact. Yeah. There aren't a lot of Timmy Jernigan's.
Yeah.
Jernigan was a beast from the moment he stepped foot on campus and played a lot as a freshman. Not many others have in recent. I mean, in decades, really. You just don't have a lot of defensive tackles as freshmen make an impact. It's just the game is too big for them, too physical for them. As soon as they get into college.
Yeah. This question is
repping Lawrenceville. Keep repping Lawrenceville, baby.
G County. This question is 1:15 long. I'm going to play it for about 30 seconds and then paraphrase the rest. Is that cool with you, Corey?
It is. And guys, the first two questions were nice. They were probably 30 seconds each about?
40 seconds, 40, 45.
Oh, well, then never mind. I was going to say it was almost like they kind of timed themselves. We just, we can't do them. We only have a finite amount of time. Well, I guess on podcasts, we're doing this overtime stuff. So, Hey, guys, make your questions 8 minutes long, 12 minutes long.
Don't listen to him. Next question.
Hey, guys, just calling in again. This is Terrell from McKinney, Texas, with my second question concerning streaks. Not that I'm all about streaks, but I do have another one for you. This one happens to do with men's basketball and men's football. So when you think about it, we have a 4-game winning streak over the Gators in men's basketball. And I think we're riding a 5-game winning streak in football. This year, the men's basketball team opened their season up against Florida. Then obviously we play the Gators in football every November. So my question is this. Who do you think gives up the streak first? Would it be men's basketball to relinquish that streak, or would it be men's football?
Okay. He kind of goes on to say that he wanted us to bear in mind.
Real quick, I like that he clarifies that it's men's football.
Be nice, Corey. He does. he does want us to factor in the aspect of you saying that Jimbo beat a bunch of Gator teams that were bums. So,
right. Well, he did. I mean, we can't argue that. He beat two of those teams, didn't even make it to bowls. The one good team that he faced, the one good Florida team he faced in his 7 or 8 years, he lost to. Just throwing that out there. But you can't poo-poo. Winning streaks are awesome. You beat Florida. You throw the records out the window when rivals get together. I got all that. To answer the question, and it was a fine question, I would say, I mean, I just think I just don't see them losing in football this year. They could certainly lose in basketball, man. That's such a crazy game. A kid gets hot from 3 and hits 8 threes. You can lose. I just think I would think the basketball team would lose before the football team does.
Yeah, I'm just fearful. That game, I mean, even, again, those teams didn't make the bowl, and they still, fought tooth and nail with Florida State. So I never look past the losers down south. And I just think
weren't the last 2 games kind of easy wins for Florida State?
They never are.
Relatively?
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, yeah, it just still, I just want to crush them. I mean, even 13 was a bit of a struggle for the final score was we blew them out, but the first half was like, what's going on? Why is it so close? They're trying to ruin our season.
It was like, I feel like it was like 3-0 with 5 minutes left in the first half, and then they hit Shaw with that 3rd and 22 or whatever it was, and then
God
Benjamin had the whole team bounce off him
on
that touchdown, and then the route was on. But yeah, that was a good Florida defense.
Yeah. I just
don't know that they have that kind of defense anymore.
I think maybe if this team is as bad as everybody thinks they're going to be, that he's going to have to go all in that game. I know, like, Dan Mullen gets it more so than Jim McElwain does. I mean, Jim McElwain was at Alabama. Right. He gets rivalries. I just think that Dan Mullen is going to have a lot of wrinkles to where, maybe it'll be competitive for, 3.5 quarters, but hopefully ultimately Florida State pulls away. But yeah, that's just not a game I'll never just walk into a Florida game thinking, all right, easy breezy Saturday, this is going to be a fun one, because it just never.
Well, I'm not necessarily thinking that either. But the question was which one you think ends first. Do you walk into a Florida State-Florida basketball game thinking that this is going to be easy?
No, because I don't have any. I don't. I shouldn't say it.
Don't say it. Don't say that.
My health is not nearly as tethered to the success of the basketball team as it is the football team.
Right, but you still got to answer the question. My man asked a 1 and 15-second question. I feel like he wants you to answer it.
Which streak do I feel is going to snap first? Yeah, basketball, I guess.
All right, well, there you go.
Yeah. I can't envision, I don't want to think of the other option. All right. Here's another nice, robust 1-15 question. I'll have to figure out a way to jump in here and cut it down. No offense. Let's rock.
Hey, what's up, buddy? Corey and Aslan. Quick question. Let me see if y'all noticed this as well. This is Eric from New Haven, Connecticut once again. As I look at film when I'm bored, like I'm a coach or something, have y'all ever noticed that Jimbo never followed like a guideline to beat another team?
He goes on to say that while watching a game on ESPN, they remarked about how Miami struggled with a team, or they showed weakness against a team previously, and that's something that Jimbo didn't try to go after. So I'll try to maybe get us on the rails first, since I can read and see the question in front of me. Yeah, I think Jimbo, there's an arrogance of Jimbo where he had what he had. He had his scheme. He had his philosophy, and I'm sure he saw maybe a couple things that he could maybe exploit, but there was never going to be any wholesale changes. He was never going to turn into he was never going to go up tempo. If a team struggled defensively, defending the week before against a fast up tempo team, Jimbo was never going to do something like go faster. Just Jimbo wouldn't change who he was. Jimbo trusted in what he did, and it was all about executing it. If everybody ran their route the right way, if the quarterback made his reads the right way, it didn't matter what the defense was going to do. He was going to find a way to win. So no, I don't think he really game planned specifically to the level that armchair quarterbacks think, where it's like every week you have to scrap things and then throw a whole new sort of outlook based on who you're playing.
No, and I don't think you'd want a coach that would do that. That would be so willy-nilly from game to game to just, okay, now we're doing this, now we're doing that. Now you just do what you do. That's what Jimbo preached. We do what we do. We're balanced. We're a balanced offense. We're pro style, all that. We're not going to be one of those Mickey Mouse hurry up teams. His word. Well, those aren't really his words, but that's probably the way he thought. That's just that's not what Jimbo was about. And like you said, it worked more often than it didn't. There were some times, I'm sure, where that was a little frustrating, that he wouldn't put the foot on the gas when a team looked like it was reeling necessarily. And then all of a sudden they're in third, you have one bad possession, all of a sudden it's a game again, where it seemed like Florida State's offense would be rolling, and then for whatever reason it wouldn't keep that momentum going from drive to drive or from half to half. But more often than not, no, Jimbo is going to do it. It's going to be the same thing at Texas A&M. He's going to do what he does, and it's worked for him. We'll see if it works there, but he doesn't really – obviously he scouts opponents and he finds weaknesses. He's really good at exploiting some stuff on defense. But he's not going to just completely overhaul a game plan from week to week. That's not really who he is.
Yeah. Oh, we got 3 more questions, Corey. I just wanted to point out the fact that this is through Google, the phone line we have set up, and it actually transcribes out the questions that people ask us. And so far, Google has transcribed Aslan from you folks calling in as Athlon, the magazine. It also put me down as Angela. It says, "Hey, what's up, buddies? Corey and Angela, will you answer this?" So I'm an Angela, I'm an Athlon, and there's one that even says, "Hey, Phyllis." So instead of Fellas, it says Phyllis. So
that's a good name.
Yeah, it's the next question right now. So let's get right to it. It's 49 seconds, but it's only like 20 words, but it's 49 seconds. We'll see how it works out. Let's go right to it.
Hey, fellas. Jim in Tampa here. I was listening to your James thing, and the first thing I'd like to say is anybody who's trashing James and wants to throw him out of Tampa for what was alleged is a hypocrite if they support Donald.
Oh, yeah, let's not get to that one. It mixes in a political factor that we're explicitly not allowed to talk about on the show.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see where that might happen. Sure.
Yeah, so he just thinks he thinks it's ridiculous to say that people want to get rid of Jameis.
Yeah, I feel like people can understand where that hypocrisy would come from in relation to where he was going politically. We can leave it at that. You could agree or disagree, but that's where he was going.
Next question.
Hey, this is John in Greenville, South Carolina. I had a question. We're always talking about how Florida State, doesn't have a ton of money compared to Alabama and bigger schools. I was curious if you have an example of another school like us that competes at a high level that doesn't have a lot of money. Seems like for the amount of resources we have, it seems like we perform as well as anybody, considering the financial resources that we have.
Yeah. All right. So let's jump into. He also asks us about TV deals expiring and what Netflix and Amazon are going to do, and I don't really know. Are they going to bid on it? Probably. Is that going to drive up money? Who knows? Maybe ESPN starts walking away from things, or Fox starts walking away from things. But in terms of, I guess, bang for buck, you cannot really argue against what Florida State's accomplished to a certain degree because, but then again, they're the number one team. In terms of bringing in revenue, Florida State is the number one team in the ACC, and right now they're not the number one team, at least football team in the ACC, which is what everybody cares about. But they are the number one program based on the Directors' Cup stuff. But otherwise, looking at the top 25 schools by revenue, there's nobody in this list, and I'm not going to rattle off all of them, that you're like, wow, they're up there and they're not, accomplishing as much as
Clemson?
Clemson is 26th.
I guess that's your answer, right? If you're talking about that's overall athletic revenue,
right?
And I know Clemson has IPTAY, which I guess makes a ton of money because they built a huge addition to their baseball stadium for $55 million, and they have that huge, wonderful football facility that Florida State's still trying to get. So I guess they make more money, the football team does, than the Florida. It just doesn't make sense to me, but maybe they do. But yeah, for an overall athletic department standpoint, what'd you say? Florida State was 13th or 14th in the country in revenue?
13th. Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty good. and they get a lot of bang for their buck. But thinking about when you're not thinking about Ohio State's, Alabama's, Texas A&M, USC's, like another school kind of on the periphery of the big boys in terms of football spending. I don't know. I don't know if there's another one that, not off the top of my head, that jumps out at me. That
UCF is 57th. I mean, that's not bad, I guess, right?
Yeah, but they're not a national championship contender, as we saw last year. Yeah. They're a good program, sure, but they're not on the same level where they can compete for national championships. So I don't know, man. Can you, off the top of your head, think of one that's like? No. Because, and you also have to remember, Florida State has been the best football program, wins-wise, in the country for the last 4 decades. So nobody gets more bang for their buck than Florida State.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I was going to maybe look at Stanford, but since they're a private school, they're not on this list because I'm guessing they.
Oh no, they have huge money. Their endowments are out the yin yang. Yeah. They probably are the richest school in the country. Them are like Harvard.
Well, I mean, really quick. I mean, the top 10 again. These are, schools that have no school, only one school, 2 schools, 1 school. I'll stop talking now. I mean, Texas has not won a national championship in the last 10 years. A&M hasn't won a national championship in the last 50 years. Ohio State has. Michigan has not. Alabama has. Georgia has not. Oklahoma has not. Florida has. LSU has. Auburn has. So,
and Oklahoma won in 2000, buddy. I know you won't forget that game.
I was saying the last 10 years. I was trying to say like the last 10 years.
Sure.
But yeah,
but Oklahoma's relevant. I mean, Oklahoma gets bang for their buck too. I mean, all those schools, it sounds like, have been really close to either playing for or winning national championships.
Yeah, so there is a little bit of a correlation, causation, I guess you can say, right? Last question, Corey. We made it, man. And speaking of Oklahoma,
we did it.
Let's go out to the. Is it the Panhandle State? Do they call it that, or is it the Sooner State? I don't know what they call Oklahoma. I should look that up. I'll look it up during the question. Let's go.
Hey, Aslan, Corey, this is Dustin from Oklahoma. Aslan, you asked last time where. A town called Bartlesville, just north of Tulsa, about 30 minutes, and south of Kansas, about 20. That's actually where I'm from. But anyway, you guys were asking one time about what it's called when you shoot a bow. I'm an avid bow hunter. We call that slinging an arrow. Use that or not. And then 5-star Chaffel, he is now a 1-star for me after his comparing of Oklahoma City to Shreveport. I used to live in the suburb of Oklahoma City, and I've been to Shreveport a couple times. You cannot compare the two. Anyway, you guys keep doing what you're doing. It's a great show. I love listening to you every day on the podcast. Have a good one.
Oh, demoted, Ira. Demoted down to 1-star.
Well earned, too. Did he really compare it to Shreveport? Come on, Ira.
He didn't say it on this program. We haven't had Ira on in a long time, I feel like. He must have said it. He might
have said it after we might have had him on during the softball.
Oh, yeah.
He might have. I just can't imagine he would compare it to Shreveport.
That ain't
because
cool.
He's been in both. I was with him in Shreveport, and I know how he feels about Shreveport. I feel like Oklahoma City is a fine town. It's just small. Shreveport is a whole different deal.
Right. Oklahoma.
So, Oklahoma Ira needs to come on here and kind of set the record straight there because I'm with him there. He is a 1-star in my eyes now.
Oklahoma is the Sooner State. Also, apparently, according to Wikipedia, it's also land of the red man and Native America. But I think Sooner State's the only one that most of us have heard of. So, slinging the arrow.
No. Flinging. Didn't he say flinging?
Did he say? Let me go back to the transcript. It's right in front of me, right? Duh.
I thought he said flinging.
He said slinging. Slinging.
Oh, slinging the arrow.
Yeah, slinging the arrow.
All right, I like flinging better. Either way, just get that bird right in the middle. You don't shoot arrows at birds, do you? You shoot arrows at like big game, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
It'd be really impressive if you could hit a bird with an arrow. I know. I'm not. Condoning or not condoning bow hunting, but man, if you could hit a bird like from 100 yards away with an arrow, holy moly, it's like Robin Hood stuff.
Yeah, that's a lot of sport involved in bow hunting. I would do that. I'd love to do that. Like go up to Alaska, like shoot me a Kodiak bear face to face, right in the jugular. Bam. Drag it back to my campsite.
And then remember, you're supposed to drink the blood for your first kill.
Of course. Yeah, we're sorry about that. We'll talk to Ira. Maybe we'll have him issue an apology. That ain't cool. We got love for you, Dustin. Thanks for calling to the program. All right, maybe we can say that. He slung the arrow.
Cool. We got him from Oklahoma, Connecticut, Elville, Lawrenceville action, Florida, Savannah. Yeah. Like I said, Oklahoma. That's good stuff, man.
Prestige
all over the place.
Worldwide. Prestige worldwide. That's how we're doing it, man. So, yeah. All right, we're done. 25 minutes. Golly, that was a long one, Corey. Thanks for bearing down, man, and bringing all your excellence to the show and making it what it is.
That was so much overtime, I feel like we have to go to PKs now. Hey-yo. Little World Cup humor for everyone. You're welcome.
We're done for the week. Take care, everybody. We'll see you later.
WarChant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. WarChant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WarChant30. That's WarChant30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WarChant30. WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.